Hello and welcome to An Amazing Podcast. This is D and Modi, and An Amazing might not be the best title for this. Because we are reviewing the last 3 episodes of God of High School, and oh my freaking god! Like the first arc of the first half of this show was a solid 8 out of 10. The second the latter half was like a 6 out of 10. These last 3 episodes collectively for me was a 3 out of 10. Like, that's me being super as generous as I possibly could be. Like, I want to give it like a 2 or like a 2, but the animation was good.
But the animation really truly is like the sole best factor about the show. But like that's what saves it. I mean, I don't think it got saved.
Easily.
But if the show got saved, it would be because of the animation.
Exactly. I 100% agree with you on that one. So, I heard somewhere that apparently they skipped like 130 chapters to either get to this point, or that's how much was condensed to get to this point. But part of me is like, dang, that was impressive, because up to the last 3 episodes, I barely even noticed. And then, after I got there, it was like, yeah, there was a lot of stuff. Like,
yeah.
This was
I guess, like, the main question I have...
is
why? Yeah, like, at the end of the day, it just comes down to why. Why would... I'm assuming that where the season ends at episode 13, this is where the season 1 of the webtoon ends. So I'm assuming that they were like, okay, we're going to take season 1 of the webtoon, which is probably like hundreds of episodes or chapters, whichever one you want to call it. And they said we're going to condense it into 13 episodes. I don't know why though. Like,
you know what this feels like? You know how when like ever an anime movie comes out, they like strip out all of the build up and just go straight to the climax, and it feels like super shallow and meaningless? It feels like Japan's doing that to Korean webtoons. Like, straight up. And I don't get that. Because it's not like there's like some hard, over the top, like super weird cultural differences or culture like expressed within God of High School. This is so shonen anime as heck. You could literally change like the main character's name to like you literally, like, most of their names sound Japanese, like Mori, Mira. They could have just changed like Day's name to like Daisuke and change it, like replace the word Seoul with Tokyo, and I could not tell the difference whatsoever.
I wouldn't even put it on the Japanese necessarily. Because the show was produced by Crunchyroll. So it's because Webtoons and Crunchyroll kind of have like a partnership going on.
Dude,
I guess it was
so
made by Japanese creators, but it was Crunchyroll who was, running the show.
That
pretty
makes
much, right?
way too much sense.
Why though? Because I still don't see why they would do that.
I don't know. It just feels like the same like American way of adapting manga. Just like strip all of the build up and just jump to big set piece moment after big set piece moment. Like,
if it was like Disney, maybe I could see that. But this is Crunchyroll. They know anime better than anyone in America. Like, they know this shit, right? They know it. So I don't know. I feel like if there's an answer, it's not an answer we'll know, because I can't see any logical explanation.
Like, I would totally, like, just watching the first season, the first 70%, I could 100% agree with you on that. But these last 4 episodes were just such trash to me. Like, have you ever seen that episode of Rick and Morty where they watch Interdimensional Cable? And there's like this one segment where it's like, two brothers and an alien armada versus the Mexican Inquisition with like tomato lasers, and then old ladies came in, and then that's when things went into quadruple overdrive. It feels like someone took like the writing philosophy that went into like writing that one sketch and used it to adapt that one last arc in God of High School.
Yeah.
Because it was just...
I think it's like... It's clear that all this stuff probably... Because I feel like no writer in his right mind could write a story like this. Like, I'm sure the creator of God of High School, the webtoon, did not create the story like this, right?
Exactly.
Because it makes... There's no way it would have even succeeded, because look at how, like... This fight in episode 13, I haven't watched much anime this season, but I feel safe betting that was like the best fight scene of the summer season. Mm-hmm. No one was talking about it because everyone had dropped the show by that point.
I wished I had dropped it.
Huh?
I wish I had dropped it.
Yeah. Honestly, me too. So everyone had dropped. So like, if this was actually how the webtoon would not have lasted long enough to be made into an anime. Like, it would have failed a long time ago. No. So I doubt that the story is like this, really. And it's clear that it's just like the same thing as Tokyo Ghoul. And I just don't understand why they would do that.
Because, like, there is no, like, I was watching this and I was feeling a little offended because I literally felt like the beginning of every episode title should have started off with spoiler warning, because this doesn't feel like the ending to a 13 episode anime. It feels like the ending to a 50, maybe 100 episode anime. So when people say like
exactly,
they can like this is like episode 130 in the webtoon, I 100% believe that.
Yeah. I feel like this is like if... Sorry, I always bring in Naruto references, but this is like if we covered from the beginning of Naruto to when Naruto beats Gaara. Like, that's... And, like, within a span of 13 episodes.
No.
Imagine how confused you would be. Like, what?
No, this is like if you... Like, as soon as, like, the Chunin exam arc ends, you jump right into the, like... No, this is like if... the moment when Sasuke uses the Chidori for the first time, you jump into, like, the 4th grade Ninja War arc.
Yeah.
Like, I swear to God, though, it was so weird. Like, I was watching, like, the moment when, like, Mori, Mira, and, like, Day, like, walked out of the tournament area, and I was like, these guys literally just walked into a completely different anime.
That's so true, yeah. And it's clear that judging from the end of episode 13, it's clear that the anime, like we predicted this from the start, that it wasn't going to be just like a high school fighting tournament, and that it was going to progress past that. Like the lore was going to take over and it was going to get bigger than that. Clearly that's what happened, and that's what I doubt there will be a season 2 of the anime, but I'm sure that's what season 2 of the webtoon like starts off with, and like it goes into all that. And it's really a shame, actually, because all of this lore legitimately seems interesting.
I know.
And the idea and like the setup for like what's to come, like Ilpio traveling the world to find the keys, and Mori going to like that mountain place to like learn how to control his power and like find his grandfather. That storyline seems so interesting. The only problem is that my enthusiasm for the show is completely dead because of how it was handled. Like you said, this should have been like 50 episodes, not 13.
Mm-hmm.
And
like,
yeah.
In an ideal world, this would have been like season 3. you have had 12 episodes for the first fight, for the first round of the tournament, 12 episodes for the second part, and then a final 13 for this whole, final war arc.
Yeah. Like, the only reason I can think of why they would do this like this is probably budget. So they're like, first thing, budget. So we have to keep it within 13 episodes. And they're like, okay, how much can we tell in 13 episodes that's a complete story? And maybe it's just that throughout everything that happens in the webtoon in that first season of the webtoon, there's no way to have it feel like a complete story without going all the way to the end of the season. Maybe that's what it is. That's the only thing I can think of, because maybe I guess that does make sense when you think about it, because the tournament is just one arc, meaning that the whole first season is just one arc, meaning that if they were going to actually pace it properly, 13 episodes would not even be able to cover one arc, and that might be unsatisfying. But I would argue that's probably more satisfying than what we got here.
See, okay, so if they really wanted to condense it, this is how they should have done it. As first add one episode or half an episode to explain what the hell Cherryuke is. Then after that, you would, instead of this whole giant war arc, you would just put all of that to the side and have that be the start for season 2. Instead, for the last 3 episodes, you just have it be Jin versus Take's team in the final arc of the tournament. He wins the tournament. We see him we see a fight between Jin and Take. They both go Super Cherryuke Son Goku, yada yada, and then boom, final round of the tournament. It's over. Wish grant. Blah 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 blah. Just keep all of the cult stuff, all of the giant flaming Buddha nuclear explosion BS out of it.
That was crazy.
And just focus on the tournament. Because, okay, I have here's some of the issues I have with this. First one, this episode had, people summoning 7-foot demons, fighting, magical angels. People were riding dragons. They were using, clown scythes to cut through, $1 million, Evangelion enemies. You had, giant golden demon Buddha flying down to the city. You had, America, South Korea, North Korea, Japan, all getting ready to nuke South Korea. Everyone's unlocking
By the way, all that was really cool. It was built up terribly, but concept wise, if I actually understood what was going on, all of that is awesome.
But when I was watching it, I didn't care. I was bored out of my mind. And to be able to do that is disgusting. Because now if that's how it happened in the webtoon, it's not I wish I read the webtoon before watching this. Because I feel if I was just going in blind, I feel this would have been so much more epic.
Yeah, me too. I think I probably will read the webtoon because I really don't want to give up on I think concept-wise, it's very good. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to give up on the series just because the anime didn't do well. I'm sure the webtoon isn't like that. So I probably will maybe that's the strategy here. Maybe they're if we make the anime really bad, people will hate it so much they'll go read they'll go read the webtoon.
Oh my god.
The other side of it is, so there's the anime producer side. I feel for them, at a certain level, maybe their hands are kind of tied. If you have to make something within 13 episodes and there's no way to break it down into arcs within that whole long season, and you have to do the whole thing, I'll assume that was the best choice, because I'll assume they're not idiots. Although I still can't. I don't know if I can say that for Tokyo Ghoul because I know for sure Tokyo Ghoul could have been done better. But anyway, that's a side thing.
So I
On the side of the author, hold on, let me just finish this. On the side of the author, though, like, all right, I don't want to say what I would do if I was the author because I don't know. I'm not in his position, and I'm sure if I was presented with the opportunity for my webtoon to become an anime, I would be very excited.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to think that if this is like the plan that they presented me, like this is what we're gonna do in the 13 episode, these 13 episodes, I would be like, no, like I just wouldn't accept it, and I would just rather not have an anime than have that because that it kind of the point of anime most of the time is to like boost people to go read the comic, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like this has the opposite effect. At the very least, I don't think it got anyone to go read God of High School. And at worst, it probably got people to be like, God of High School sucks. Because I'm sure not everyone knows that that this skips over a whole lot of stuff in the webtoon. So anyone who just goes into this series blind without any context, they'll be like, this series made absolutely no sense. Like the God of High School is terrible. Right.
Like, if I was in the creator's shoes, I would have, like, gotten on my hands and knees and begged them to let me rewrite a different draft of the story just to make it fit. I would literally beg with every inch of my heart and soul for them to not go this route.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like there's no. I really do think that this must have been the best possible option because it just seems like I can't imagine that they would have a better way to do things and they didn't do it. Like I don't think they're stupid. They can't be stupid, right? So they do this for a living, right? So this must have been the best possible option. So I think the real best thing that could have been done is just not to have an anime. Because it's kind of pointless.
So I disagree with that. So there was an anime that I really enjoyed called Blood Blockade Battlefront or something, Kekai Kinsen or something. And they had the similar problem where a huge portion of the manga was just one single arc. So to deal with that, they literally like intersperse their own little side plots and have it built up to their own original climax. And it worked so well. Like, when I was, like, researching the manga, someone pointed out to me, it was like, oh yeah, that's not how it ended. And I was like, that makes sense? But when I was watching it, I did not notice it. And I was just like, they should have done that. They should have.
You see, that's where I'm different because for me, when it comes to adaptations, I'm like, I guess I'm more of like a purist because if I'm watching something, even if it's good, if I find out that it's not actually like if I find out that it's deviating somehow from the actual story, I'll stop because I don't want that. I want the actual story. I would rather not have the series than have the series in a way that it wasn't originally intended. Even if it's good, right? Like a lot of people say, I haven't seen it, but a lot of people say the original Fullmetal Alchemist is good. But I never tried. I just went straight to Brotherhood because I don't really care.
But that's the great thing about Kekai's Blood Battle Blockade, because what they essentially did was they ended the instead of like rewriting the entire like story flow of the manga, they essentially ended it on a really good filler arc that they built up to with like a few side plots that they sort of like stitched in there with the manga, and it turned like this should have done that. Except
you're right. That's different. That's different. Like if they do a filler arc that doesn't affect the main plot line of the series, but supplements it, and it's still good and entertaining, that works good. And I think you're right. You're right. Yeah, they probably should have done something like that.
And you know the worst part about like the God of High School was that there were a lot of villains, but there were no antagonists. There was no singular villain that Mori had any like emotional attachment to or emotional involvement in. Like, yeah, sure. Okay, so first of all, Tech. That was
who's Tech, by the way? Is that the blue hair? Is that Jegal? Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah,
I forgot the other part of his name. Okay, yeah. All right, cool.
Like, I did not expect nor see him as the final boss. And a couple of things. A, him being the final boss makes no sense. B, they had him set up as like Ilipo's villain. C, they were like giving him this like losers suck, only winners, like the strong survive, blah 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 blah. And they had this whole moment of like Ilipo beating the crap out of him as like, oh, I lost, blah blah blah. But it didn't look like that. It looks like he was giving you a beating. Like, he was just like, man, this guy's so pathetic. I'll let him get a few good hits and let him, like, feel good about himself. On top of that, like, his foster father didn't seem all that bad either. Like, if he had, like, this really cruel, abusive father who only saw him as a weapon, kind of like Todoroki's dad in, like, My Hero, maybe, but, like, he honestly seemed relatively chill. I legit think he got an upgrade from his original parents.
I didn't even really catch what was going on with it. Like, it was too fast. It was too rushed. Like, I didn't get it. I didn't get it. I could tell what was going on. Like, they had to give him the backstory. For me, I did see him as like the final villain because it was clear from that one episode when he was first introduced and he kills that guy in the tournament. I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be the guy, like, Mori's going to fight Ilpio, and then at the final, he's going to fight Jego. So I was like, this is going to be the final fight. Mm. But I did not expect all that. Like, I did not expect him to be like some demon. That was not explained whatsoever.
Exactly.
Not in any way at all. Where did that come from?
Like,
we don't know.
Like, I'll give it some credit that when he ate the other dude, it got passed on to him. But that's me giving a mile's worth of credit.
Yeah.
Like, because they still didn't explain, like, why the weird magician dude just turned into, like... They literally introduced the thing from outer space in, like, the last second, and that made no sense.
You want to know the thing that was, like, super stupid? Was that guy who kind of looks like
Zeppelin?
You know, I'm bad with names. The guy from Bleach with the hat. What's his name? I can't remember his name. You know what I'm talking about? He's the guy who came in. I don't think he was a maybe he was a mission. He's the guy who had like all the like weapons in that one episode. He shows up playing music with his band or whatever. Yeah, Urahara. Yeah. There we go. The guy who looks like him. Mm-hmm. Who the hell is he?
I know.
Like, I think in the whole series, he has to be the most pointless character because he pretty much added nothing and he wasn't explained at all. He could have not been in it and the series would have made more sense because at least there isn't an extra character that you're wondering, who is this guy? Thinking naively that they're going to explain who he is.
Now, how do you do that? How does, like, adding more episodes to something make it make even less sense?
Yeah, I mean, it's really a shame. It's really a shame because I genuinely like the concept of the series. Like I said, I actually don't hold anything against the God of High School as a series. Mm-hmm. I just think the anime was executed very poorly, and it's too bad. It's just like season 2 of Tokyo Ghoul. It doesn't make sense. I don't understand it.
Like, I'll give you credit. Like, when I was watching this, the one thing that went to my mind was like, man, imagine if this had proper pacing and was, like, properly fleshed out. This is like watching Avengers and then skipping to the final scene in Avengers Endgame. You know what this is? This is like Saitama Simulator 2020. Because, like, you know in, like, One Punch Man, like, I felt like, you know, like, how in One Punch Man, like, everyone's getting, like, full hype, and everything's going off, and everything's all epic and serious, and then Saitama is just, like, standing there going, K. Like,
K is us, the audience. Like, we're Saitama.
Yes! I have never felt more like One Punch Man in my entire life than watching these last 3 episodes.
Okay, well then we got to give the series props for that, because no other series has. We can't say any other series has made us feel like One Punch Man. That's pretty amazing.
And you know what, the other thing I was kind of like really starting to think about? Why were the fight scene why were like the hand-to-hand fight scenes so good? Because I realized something. God of High School is less of a martial arts anime than Naruto is an anime about ninjas.
How does that relate to the fight scenes being good?
Because they put so much time into like the martial arts and the choreography, but the series is about magic. It's about like spell casting and stuff.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's true. That's very confusing too. I feel like the reason they did that is because the webtoon itself has a big emphasis on that. Mm-hmm. This is why I hesitate to even... I feel like to really understand the context, I would have to read through all of season 1 and see, like, maybe if I read through all of season 1, I'd be like, oh, this is why they did it like that. Wouldn't excuse the fact that it turned out badly, but I feel like I would probably understand more. But I know the webtoon had a emphasis on that, and it's hard to talk about it honestly, because like you said, it would have been good if I wish I had read it before watching this so that I could know like where specifically they're messing up. All I can say is that they're messing up and they're rushing things, you know.
You know what I want? I want someone to like reformat the webtoon so whenever like a big fight scene is about to take off, there's like a link to the anime so you can just like click on it and watch the video, like the animated version of it. And then once that finishes, you just jump right back into the webtoon.
But the thing about the webtoon is, from what I've heard, the action in the comic itself is very good. Like, in fact, I feel like that's probably what what motivated the creators of the show to put in so much effort in the martial arts, because the author himself put in a lot of effort in the comic itself in the martial arts. Like he really went in, he goes in hard on that. So I feel like they're like, okay, in order to actually, I feel like that's actually a main appeal of the webtoon itself. So they're like, okay, this is a big part of the webtoon. In the anime, we can't mess this up. We have to have it live up to that. And I can't say they didn't. Like, they really did. Like, the action was beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
You know,
it's just the story that was surrounding it wasn't so great.
Like, seriously, how did Demon Slayer get 25 episodes and this only get 13?
This is another... Yeah. I mean, I would say, like, okay, if I was given the premise of Demon Slayer and the premise of God of High School, I knew nothing about either of those, I would probably pick Demon Slayer because it seems more interesting. If I look at the art style, it seems more interesting. So I can see why, but also you're right. Like, I think it has to do with the fact that making webtoon anime out of webtoons is like new territory. So they don't want to go in and like making anime from Shonen Jump manga. That's like pretty safe bet. Like you can make 26 episodes off that and like you won't feel like you will probably be perfectly fine. But webtoon is like a new thing, so I'm sure they don't want to like make 26 episodes and it fails. But like it's a gamble because if you condense it to 13 episodes, no one's gonna watch, and then there's not gonna be any more seasons. Like, I would be very surprised if there's a season 2 of God of High School.
So Two things. Okay, a dude trying to cure his vampire sister sounds more interesting than God bending high school martial artists.
Yes.
And I'm gonna slap you. And the other thing is, like, if this was, like, a weird genre bending thing, then maybe, but, like, God of High School is the most shonen thing I have seen this year. Like, if you slapped a Shonen Jump pirate on there, I would not hesitate for 2 seconds. Like, I would hesitate for Bleach. I would hesitate really hard for Tokyo Ghoul. And I would not believe you if you tried that with Attack on Titan. But God of High School?
Yeah, but it's because it's about the... It's not necessarily about the concept. It's about, like, the institution behind it, right? Like, Shonen Jump, like... If you adapt a Shonen Jump series, it's probably going to do well just because they have a big, long-time fan base who you can be sure will watch the anime, right? And
who's already paying for the manga.
Yeah, and they're easily the biggest. Although I don't know, these days Webtoons might rival Shonen Jump, but I'm not really sure. But
it has to.
It's very easy to see that Shonen Jump is the number one, right? It's like getting a deal with Disney or something. It's like that's a sure bet, you know. So I can see that, but it's a shame. It sucks because, and I also wonder about Tower of God because I never finished the anime for Tower of God, but I got relatively far in the webtoon. Like I got pretty far into season 1 of the webtoon, and I wonder if Tower of God also did the whole skipping thing, because now that I think back on it, like back during spring season when it was airing, the hype for it, just like God of High School, kind of fizzled out, and I didn't really hear much about it when the season ended, which means that maybe the anime also, maybe Tower of God went the same way as God of High School. So now it makes me wonder, like, now that they did this and these anime didn't do so well, like, are they gonna make more? Like, because now it seems like it's not a good idea.
No, I couple that with the fact the first episode was really weirdly written, and that's also being made by Crunchyroll. Cause Tower God, and they both have the word God in it. I would bet money that Tower of God went the exact same route.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would probably bet money too that that's how it went, which is sad because Tower of God also is good. So it's too bad. Although I know maybe they're not completely stopping because there's also a webtoon called Lore Olympus, which is more of like a romance one. It's probably like the biggest webtoon out right now. And they teamed up with Netflix and they're making a Netflix show out of it. So that will probably go different. I feel like that one has more American sensibilities probably. It also even won like the Eisner Award last year or something like that. So it sucks because like
for that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was saying I have mixed feelings for that because Netflix will throw money at absolutely anything. Like threw money at Cuties. It gave like Brightburn, like whatever that weird Will Smith like orc movie was, a sequel. They're planning on doing like a sequel for like the Death Note. Why didn't Netflix get God of High School? Like, oh my god.
Yeah, that's true actually because Netflix has a budget.
And they
maybe they don't have a budget because they're in debt, but like clearly they don't mind being in debt and they throw money everywhere. So yeah, that's true. I mean, I know I have a very, very bad track record in predictions, but I feel like Lore Olympus will probably do well just because it's American. Like, it's made by an American. It has mostly American fans, and it's huge. So I feel like it'll probably, even the art style is like a much more American type art style. So it'll probably do well. I doubt I'll check it out just because it's not my type of series. But
oh yeah,
it's too bad that like you know, the stuff that's like closer to anime, like this, like God of High School is. Yeah, I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe they will continue the series, but even if they do, I doubt I'll watch it. Like, if I
wouldn't.
continue with God of High School, it will be only through the webtoon at this point. I will not be watching the anime.
I completely agree. I guarantee you, if they went like heck, if they keep going at this pace, by the start of like the first episode of the second season, you're gonna have them like fighting Galactus and like going full on Gurren Lagann.
They'll be doing like they'll pretty much be at like Dragon Ball Super levels. They'll be having like a tournament between like the 7 universes. That's what it'll be at. Episode 1 of season 2.
Like, seriously, like, watching the first episode, would you ever in a million years believe that this would be how it ends? Like, this would be like the final arc? Like,
you know what's funny?
Hmm?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I could believe the final arc for Tokyo Ghoul. I could believe the final arc of Naruto, the final arc of Dragon Ball Z, but this does not feel like the final arc of the anime we saw in the first episode.
I think that's true, but I think literally the only reason is just because it went too fast. But if it was slowed down, I think
Totally.
they would have no problem like making it make sense, and you could see the through line from episode 1 to episode whatever, like 50 or whatever it would be.
You know, this feels
but I also
like,
thought, yeah, what?
This is like if in like Hunter x Hunter, they at the start of the Chimera Ant arc, Gon and Killua just like teleport in front of Kite.
Mm-hmm.
This feels like when they teleport, they get teleported right in the middle of the Netero versus Meruem fight.
Yeah, and you know what was really funny? Because it was almost, I don't think they were completely self-aware, but they were like almost self-aware, because at the very last episode, in episode 13, at the very end, when they resurrected Neo, I guess Neo is the fox, I'm guessing, I don't know. That person, you know, the girl who was wearing the yellow tracksuit, she opened that underground door and like she resurrected that.
How did she get there?
Person thing. Who knows? But they resurrected her, and she literally told Mugen, like, because Mugen literally, it was at that point that Mugen explained he explained like the lore about like the fox and everything, and he was like, she literally said, you should have explained that from the start. And it was like, I remember seeing that part and I was like, yeah, literally, you should have explained that in episode 1. Like, it's like they knew, like, yeah, you should have explained that from the start, because we were just as confused as the main characters this whole time. You know? It was bad. It was not more I can say. But I don't want to be completely negative. I will give
the animation was good.
Yes, I'll give props to the concept of the series. I think the concept is very good, and I will give props to the animation and the fight scenes, because those were spectacular. Even in episode 13, even though I had no idea what was going on, I still felt that hype feeling that I get. Not like not real hype, but like I still felt a little bit of hype, just because how can you not, when like the fight is so good and the music's so good, and it's like,
because you don't care about what's going on, because you don't
that's it. That's the key. By that point, 13 episodes in, I had fully shut off my brain. So I was like, okay, whatever. I'll enjoy it for the fighting, and the fighting was great. Like, obviously, that was spectacular. Like, amazing. What would you say? You know more about animation than me. How would you compare, like, if we're strictly speaking, like, animation wise and action, how would you compare it to One Punch Man, like the first season of One Punch Man?
So, again, this is really hard because the emotional side is really, like, interfering, but just from a technical standpoint, if One Punch Man was a 10, this would be a soft 9, solid 8.5. A lot of stuff was really good, really impressive, and if there was like better writing backing it, or if I went through and read through the webtoons, I would have that on loop a lot. Yeah. But as it is, it didn't. The final, like, those final 3 episodes were so unearned. That anime did not earn that type of ending.
Yeah, it didn't. I think that's probably if you had to summarize God of High School in one sentence, I feel like that's exactly the best way to summarize it. It didn't earn anything really, like past the first few episodes. It didn't make sense, and I held out hope. But it didn't work out, and it really does. I've said it before, I'll say it again, like, it's really a shame because, like, this could have been anime of the year, at the very least anime of the summer. I know meatheads, super meatheads, who were getting hyped over the Fruits Basket's finale and like had dropped God of High School. Like, think about that. Like, just think about that.
It's turning Chad sensitive.
That's so sad, you know? Like, I mean, nothing against Fruits Basket. Fruits Basket's probably really good. I'm probably going to try it at some point. But, I mean, like, if you're an action head, like, and you're getting more hyped about Fruits Basket than God of High School, I think there's a problem.
There's a huge problem.
And I guess, and that goes to show, at the end of the day, for, like, everyone in the world, like, writers, artists, audiences, everyone, that at the end of the day, you can have something look great. It can be beautiful. But if it's not like, if it doesn't have like that framework of a good story, then it will never matter. It will never matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's all I have to say. I think that's all I have to say about God of High School.
Same here. I will say this also. I am way more paranoid about my writing now, more than ever.
I don't think you have to. Like I said earlier, I don't think any writer who's like not 10 years old, right, would purposefully write a story like this that makes no sense. And even the anime script writers, it's not, I don't even put it on them. Like, I don't know what happens behind the scenes, but like, this is clearly a case of, we have to get this done in 13 episodes, so this is what we're going to do. I don't think anyone who would sit down and genuinely write a story like this and think this is good. Like I said, if that was the case, it wouldn't even have gotten to the point where they made an anime out of it. Like, just the fact that this is literally the second webtoon ever that's made into anime has to say something about the God of High School webtoon. It must be really good, but yeah.
And again, like, the frustrating part is they almost had it.
Yeah.
Like, they were doing so well. Well, yeah, like, I will say, they were doing well. Like, my issues with the power system aside, like, everything up to, like, episode 10 was flawed, but functional. After that, it was...
Yeah.
Whoo!
It was passable up until that point. Like, you could, like, barely get by. But, like, by the end, it was like nonsense. It didn't make any sense. One other thing I'll say that I just remembered is, aside from the animation and, like, the premise and all that, one thing, my favorite part of the series was how they developed the dynamic and the relationship between the 3 main characters. I think they did a very good job of that at the very least, you know? Like, at the very least, even all the way through the end, like episode 13, you actually felt, you know, some sort of, like, kinship with the main characters, and you felt that they really were friends and that that at least felt earned, you know. And even that
Yes.
part when they like jumped in and like took the hit and like got stabbed to like save, I was like, oh, that's good. Like that was actually a moment where I felt something. So
Hmm.
at the very least, they did that. If they hadn't done that, at the very least, oh my god,
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. But yeah, so it wasn't all bad, but I would still say it was bad
Hmm.
overall. Um,
Yeah.
so
So, like I said before, final rating: first round of the tournament, 8 out of 10. Second round, 6, 5 out of 10. Final arc, 3, 2 out of 10.
yeah, I would say the first part. Yeah, I would say the first part was probably like an 8.
Hmm.
Middle part of the show, probably from like episode 4 to episode 9. In back when when we were reviewing it, I was giving it like a 7 because I
Hmm.
still was like, it didn't get totally ruined. There was still hope. Looking back, I would probably give it like a 5.
Hmm.
And the last 3 episodes, the only thing I could give it points for was the fighting. So yeah, probably like a 3. Overall, I would give the show, I would give it a 5. I would
I
actually give the
agree.
show overall a 5 because it would definitely be lower than a 5 if it wasn't for the animation that saved it.
Oh yeah.
So that saved it, and yeah, I would give it a 5. So this is probably one of the lowest rated shows that I've watched all the way through. Usually,
Yes.
usually I never get through. I don't get through a show. It only ever happened once, which was with Eureka 7, where I
Hmm.
watched the whole thing only to end up hating it, and I hate when that happens. I hate it so much. I think it happened like one other time with another show,
Hmm.
but yeah, it happened again with God of High School. It's too bad. Um, but yeah, that's all I have to say for it.
All right. Well, that has been anything else.
Nope, no, that's all.
Well, that's been our review of God of High School. Tune in next time when we'll be reviewing something else. And until then, thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.